All right, guys, we're here today with KristaLyn Vetovich and Emily Dexter. We've did this opening way too many times. KristaLyn, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us about how long you've been writing or anything like that.
Yeah, so my name is KristaLyn A. Vetovich. I'm a best-selling author. I'm an astrologer, and I am the co-CEO and executive editor of the Forgotten Storytellers, along with Emily. And so I've been writing since I was 13, publishing since I was 13. I've written about 10 books. I've published in about any way I can imagine, from traditional to indie to hybrid press. And so I've had a lot of experience both in publishing and in holistic practices, things like astrology that I've been doing for, oh my gosh, 20 years now. I feel so old. And so combining all of that, I found my business soulmate in Emily, who has a very similar parallel story unique to her own. And we are partnering to do this incredible summit and this incredible program together. Emily, tell them more.
Yeah, so I'm Emily Dexter. Thank you for that amazing introduction also. So I'm Emily Dexter. I am a professional psychic. I'm a best-selling author. And then I'm KristaLyn's co-CEO and other executive editor of the Forgotten Storytellers. And I have a very similar story. I've written, I don't know, probably somewhere in like 7 or 8 books under my own name. And then I was also a ghostwriter for 4 or 5 years as well. So I've written a ton more books on other people's names, but me in the writing space. And similarly, I've published in traditional and, self-publishing and indie publishing, and then of course in the ghostwriting space as well. And so we have definitely combined, I focus a lot on intuitive energy work and stuff like that. And I've been a psychic my entire life, but a practicing professional psychic for about 10 years now. And so we combine those two things to help people really create and write books in an authentic, energy aligned, soul purpose sort of way.
That's incredible. And I do know that both of you, like Krista was talking to KristaLyn, sorry, I keep wanting to call you Krista instead of KristaLyn. But KristaLyn was telling me on Twitter that you guys were both intuitives and that you've done a lot of work like that. And I have questions for you guys about those later, because that really drew me in. I was really interested by that, especially since I'm into a lot of different metaphysical things as well, believe in the higher self, the universe, all of that. But we're limited in time, so I will just keep myself on track. So what actually got you guys started writing to begin with? Like, what started your path into it?
Do I go first and say because I had no friends?
Same.
Right? I felt like the world just wasn't suited for, like, in school I wasn't the popular girl. I was smart enough in most things, but I wasn't exactly social. And so I found my friends and the ones that I created for myself. What does that say about how picky I am? But I made some great friends in my head, and I would write these stories out and I would feel them and see them, and they just made me feel better. And later on, you can compare that feeling to meditation, being in flow, using energy and stuff like that. So I was just in my magic when I was writing, and it gave me so much to do and filled time and made time disappear. And so eventually my dad caught one of my stories and was like, you need to publish this, when I finished it. And since then, with him as the wind beneath my wings, I have been just going. It's not even something that I have turned back and said, wait a second, I want to do something else. It's mostly just this. I did have my Saturn return this year, so I did decide again for myself that I wanted to do this. I had to reevaluate, but it's sticking. So
yeah, for me, there was no like one thing. My mom, growing up, my mom was the personal secretary of Leo Buscaglia, who's a very famous author. And then she moved on to be our school librarian. And then after that, she moved on to copy edit foreign language manuscripts for McGraw-Hill and Fodor's and all these other like big publishers. So for me, it was just kind of like, hey, I'm stuck in a library or I'm stuck in a writing office anyway. This is what I'm going to be doing then, is writing. So for as long as I can remember, it's always been just like stories and stories and stories. And being very psychic at a very young age, the stuff that I could see, sense, feel, hear, and know were always stuff that the only other place I found those things happening were in fiction, or was in fiction, and in these movies or in books, etc. And so for me to write those things out and create these stories around these things that were really more real life experiences for me than just the tangible day-to-day stuff was this huge energetic release. And then when I kind of became, it wasn't like I had no friends. It was that I just kind of started to shut down people and stuff because the energy was kind of overwhelming, and I moved towns and all this different stuff. That was like my big life raft. And then from there, it was just a push to like, well, this is good enough to publish, and, you know, and work my way down the 10,000 story ideas that I have to gradually get to this place where I still have 10,000 ideas, but they're different.
And I have a lot in common with both of you guys on that as well, because I didn't have like the best high school experience or middle school. Like middle school was okay, but as soon as I got into high school, that's when I started feeling a little bit more like different. I grew up in a small town, and I kind of realized one of these things is not like the other, and it was me, because I'm the only liberal in a conservative town.
I have said exactly that same thing in my life. I totally get it.
Yeah. And that's actually what got me started on it too. It was that, but I was also like, when I was in elementary school, I loved writing short stories and reading books and stuff like that. And it just kind of escalated into there. But okay, so are you guys traditionally published, or did you guys go the independent route, or?
So both, right? Like currently I have one book that is traditionally published, and that's my nonfiction book. My first nonfiction book is traditionally published, but my preference for for my fiction stuff is actually to go the indie route, just because the writing community is so supportive, and just breaking out there, you end up having to do a lot of the same work anyway. So you might as well be more involved in the process, which is something I like. And it's something that you can do. Where with traditional publishing, there are so many steps to take before you get there. And I'll put something out there, like I'll have a story that I'm pitching to see if it happens. And it has in the past, and things have gone one way or another. But I always have something going on. I like to keep putting things out there because the energy is in it, and the energy is for this moment. And if I feel like this is important to get out now, I go more indie.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one traditional published as well, which is also, well, it's a fiction and nonfiction. It's technically an allegorical nonfiction, but it's fiction. Majority of it's fiction. And so that one's my
true story.
No, actually, it is a self-help book using D&D philosophy to help heal trauma after abuse. So basically, it has storyline and fiction storyline that you go through, but it's also accompanied with actual, like, real life tangible nonfiction tools. So it's kind of a
interesting
combo. Yeah, so that's my traditional published one, and then I have a couple that I've self-published, which I really have enjoyed doing that. And then of course, with all my ghostwriting stuff, that was indie actually, with people publishing under indie names, but me ghostwriting. So yeah, so I've got kind of a buffet. But I also am always, I'm really intuitively guided with whatever I'm pitching or self-publishing or whatever at the time, or hybrid publishing, whatever it is. So when I write something, basically it's a period of like tuning in and being like, where should this go? Energetically, where will it find the readers that it needs to find? And then I follow that path.
Wow. And I want to ask you questions that's like astrology related so bad right now, but I'm trying to stay.
It's all the same.
We will mess up the whole interview. It'll take forever. You'll miss your family thing. It's not going to work. I will ask you when we get there though, but I love that. I love everything that you're doing there. And I love how like you're kind of blending like what's going on metaphysically, intuitively, spiritually, all of that, and connecting it to a fictional work and using fiction to reach people and help people. I think that's just incredible, but that's all I'm going to say on that. Now, with you guys being traditionally published, do you know anything about the Simon Schuster and PRH merge thing that's happening? Like, what are your thoughts on that right now? Because I know that it's hot in the community, right? The writers community.
Yeah. So like my whole perspective on it is just where I feel the industry is going, thanks to all the changes in 2020, which I've actually used astrology to be able to sort of map out. And so I really believe that we're coming into a more community focused, community driven way of living. And so the fact that these big publishing houses are consolidating kind of to me is a hint that we're heading in that direction and that they are going to meet us a little bit halfway. There's a new brand and a new style of publishing that's going to come out on the other side of all this. And, you know, what isn't unprecedented these days. So we'll see what that looks like. But for now, I think that it feels like a good thing energetically. I think it's going to be in the favor of authors when all is said and done. And that's something I look forward to. But Emily, I know your family has a lot of experience with the publishing world. So what's your thought?
Well, I wholeheartedly agree. At first I was like, whoa, okay, big four, that's a little intense. But then immediately I got the ping that just means that the fifth part of the big five is now going to be a collection of smaller houses that now rise up together as kind of a collection to help like smaller time authors get actually into the bigger spaces, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like it's just really a gateway to open up this new world of publishing, because books are more popular now than they have been in so long, and writing is more popular now, and reading is, it's so fantastic, and it's such a breath of fresh air that of course the industry is going to change to accompany, you know, to go along with and work around that new energy. And for the big time publishing houses, that feels scary for them on an energetic level, because they're like, okay, we need to combine and we need to re-establish our stuff. And then for the smaller time, it's like, hey, cool, we can all rise up together and get into bookstores still and do these other things in a more community-based, like collaborative sort of way, which is the way our whole society is moving anyway. And it's just publishing's answer to that.
Okay. All right. That's the first time that I've heard that answer with like anything that I've seen on BookTube so far, or in my other interview. My other interview, they were like really upset about it because they were like, you know, it's going to destroy smaller publishing houses. But this was the first time that I've heard somebody come back with that it was actually going to be better for smaller publishing houses. So that's interesting.
It needs to be, it's making space is what it feels like energetically.
Yeah. And if you think about it, we've seen that over the last year. Like, think about people who were discovered on TikTok, and they are able to be discovered as smaller individuals in a big pond because this whole year has brought everybody to the same level. Mm-hmm. We're all at the same place now. We're all using Zoom for interviews, whoever you are, you know, big celebrity or us, which is still pretty awesome. But everybody has a shot now. There's a more even playing field. And I think that's where we're seeing the balance coming in, and like cameo appearance of my Dragonstone, sorry. But, but that's what we're seeing. So like the smaller, so to speak, more individual people are able to make themselves known and be heard in the crowd. Would you agree, Emily?
I completely agree. And truly what it is also doing is showing people who were thinking about doing traditional publishing, it's giving them a boundary now where they're like, wait a second, maybe that's not exactly what I want. Or it now gives the agents more flexibility to be like, hey, there's this big thing that you've probably heard about, but we can also pitch to these little ones. And because people are uncomfortable with this massive conglomerate of publishing, pitching to the little ones will sound better. And it'll grow those too. It really feels like a powerful opening of a door on a very energetic level for a lot more small press and individualized approach to publishing. Absolutely.
I like that. That's
the benefit. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say you go ahead.
I was going to say that's the benefit of taking a more energetic, holistic, metaphysical approach to life in general, because we're tapping into the energy of the future, and we're always going to see that something good is coming, and we focus on the thing that's coming and make that work rather than resisting the changes, which I think happens a lot in industry when you get stuck in the, what are they calling, the 3D? So
Yeah. I have a trouble with resisting change a lot myself. I always draw death reversed along with the tower. If that tells you anything, I don't know if you guys know anything about tarot cards.
Yeah.
It's pretty much my shtick. I always do tarot card readings, and every time I end up drawing those two cards together, which means I'm resisting change and my life's about to fall apart because of it. And it always does. But this year I got really good. Ever since my Saturn return, I've gotten a lot better about that. Thank God.
Yeah. That's what Saturn does to you, man. It's a wrecking ball.
It fixes stuff though, because like now I don't resist change as much. Like I see that tower in my reading and I immediately fix whatever it is. That way I don't fall apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you did it right. Good job.
Yeah, finally. I've learned. I've grown.
Yeah.
So, you guys were talking about high vibe fiction. What exactly is that?
I love this question.
Like the passion that we both shared.
Right.
Emily, do you want to go first?
Sure. So high vibe fiction is essentially fiction that helps you heal and release trauma or limiting beliefs and basically raise your vibration through reading it. So basically it's taking the idea that we don't have to try and work so hard to heal. We don't have to fight for healing. It doesn't have to be this hard journey. Instead, we can just learn through stories, which humans naturally do. But on an energetic level, it can help us release, heal, and grow into a more high vibed, aligned, better energetic state at its core level. And so, yeah, that's what high vibe fiction is. And we truly feel like both of us together and with our clients and stuff like that, we feel deeply that this is where the future of reading is going, and putting an emphasis on this is where the future of healing and growing and evolving people is as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why we're starting the business that we're starting. It's actually, I wrote my second nonfiction book on this. It's actually a story structure adapted to writing a book that is a healing modality. And it just so happens that as I had this passion, Emily had it at the same time. It was serendipity. So we're using this book as sort of a backbone structure to what we were already going to say in this program. And it's just this connection that we both had, which just made the idea to partner up for this kind of not inevitable, but like a no-brainer, because two people across the country had the same idea with such similar backgrounds and training that it just seems like this is what should happen, and it's going to benefit so many people if we come together. So that's where the Forgotten Storytellers came from, which is totally Emily's idea for the name, and I love it.
So
I think
you guys both had the same idea across the country.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with soul families?
Yeah.
Do you think that it could be possible that maybe you guys decided, like, before you guys came
she's
to
my
Earth
business soulmate, sure.
Okay.
She's 100% my business soulmate. That is like a guarantee. Our astrology charts like mirror each other. It's some crazy.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
it's so funny. Like all the fears you usually have with a business partner, like my innate fears that I've always had when working with other people, the things that just always come up, those unconscious programs, all of them shattered every time I work with Emily. It's like, oh, I usually make this mistake, or this usually annoys other people. And Emily's like, hey, I see this about us. Let's make this work. And it's like, cool. So it's just this really effortless partnership, which is going to really benefit all storytellers that want to chill with us, really.
Which is a validation also of like, every time we're like, cool, this is validating that this is exactly what people need right now, is a way to heal through reading books. And people already do this kind of naturally. It's just now let's put the emphasis on creating these books intentionally to help people with this, so that when they read this, they know they're getting activated in this sort of way.
Okay, so these
it also helps with marketability.
What was it?
Say that again.
Marketability.
Oh, I said it also helps with marketability. When you're conscious about it, you know exactly what to say to market, which I know is a big thing for writers in general.
So the high vibe fiction doesn't have to be like all light and airy and rainbows and butterflies to raise your vibration. It can also, like, so this doesn't eliminate other genres like grim dark or any kind of, or horror or anything like that, right?
Horror can be absolutely high vibe, right?
Yeah, I write very, very dark fantasy. That's what I write. And it's very high vibe, but it's very dark.
And that's shadow work, right? Like that's what people go through when they go through like a dark night of the soul. We are not saying you can't have bad feelings. We're saying, let's figure out what the bad feelings are doing. And we're going to lead you into the dark. We're going to light it up. And then we're going to walk you back out. You're going to come out different. It may not be rainbows and butterflies, but it will move you forward.
All right.
It'll
I just wanted to,
sorry. No. Yeah, it'll be activating. Activations aren't always easy. They aren't always like wonderful things. Oftentimes it's actually your dense feelings that get activated, right? So
yeah, like Saturn returns.
Right. Saturn returns is something that, like, anytime that you start going through like a big metaphysical change, it's never comfortable. I hate it when the universe makes me grow. But I just wanted to clarify that for any viewers who were looking at it and going like, oh, high vibe, so it's all, bright stuff, and that's all you can write if you write high vibe. I just wanted to ask that the way you guys could clarify on it a little bit more and maybe inspire someone else to write some high vibe fiction.
Yes, valid question. We appreciate that. That's a great question.
Oh, no sweat at all. And so that leads right into my next question. Do you guys think that fiction plays a role in shaping our society as a whole?
Yes.
Oh
1 bajillion%. The thing is, stories are what we all live on, whether they come in the form of an allegory or like legends or theologies, theories of every sort. Everything you talk about is a story. It can be a true story. It can be one that you've come up with. And the stories that we come up with show so much about ourselves. When you go into psychology, stories really do reveal that unconscious situation, which is represented by the 12th house in astrology. And like we use that kind of stuff to say, hey, the unconscious is there. Let's unearth it so that we can really go into this depth psychology. And someone else out there is going through a similar thing. So let's write it down. We'll write down how we are journeying through this through the analog of a character. And that's what everyone is doing. That's why I call it conscious entertainment consumption. Be careful what you're watching because you're zoning out. You're getting into that meditative brainwave. And that's the theta brainwave, where you actually integrate your core beliefs that you use in the rest of your life. You know how they say like 90% of your stuff is instinct? Those instincts are based on your core beliefs that are designed when you're zoning out. So pick the stuff that's going to suit you best. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to help people create. And that's what Emily and I strive to create too.
And specifically with fiction, but this happens with all books. Like if you read a book, your reality is changed forever, period.
Yes.
No matter what, because you've read the book. And so your reality is altered. So specifically with fiction, that is a huge thing because our brains learn on stories. That's how we're taught when we're kids. That's the whole idea behind fables. And, you know, like even with my kids now, and that's also what we do our whole lives. We tell ourselves our own stories over and over and over again. And so anytime you read a book or anytime you write a book, you're changing the reader's realities forever. And so being conscious about that is really, really important. And also as a reader, it's really, really important to understand what you're consuming is going to change you in some capacity. Even if it was horrible and you didn't like it at all, you still had your reality changed. Something about your perspective on the world has been altered just slightly. And so moving forward, that's something you've now integrated. So do I think it affects reality as we know it? Absolutely, on a both individualized level and then on a collective level as well.
That just makes writing and reading sound so powerful. And I love that.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful
thing. Superpower. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And I completely agree with both of you on that. I feel like that even if you aren't looking at it from a metaphysical standpoint, like if you're watching this right now and you think this is all just a bunch of hooey, that's fine. But even if you don't believe in this, in what we believe, you have to believe that throwing out books into the world, it shapes our society because it's shaping how books are social. I can't talk. What I meant to say was that books are social creatures. So even if you don't believe in metaphysical things, it's still going to change the way we think as a society. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Krista, your Twitter name says the storytelling astrologer, and you're starting a writing program that incorporates astrology for writing and launching your book. What can you tell me about that program?
So yeah, our program is called the Forgotten Storytellers, and it integrates metaphysics, meditation, connecting with your higher self, connecting with your guides and your muses, which is Emily's wheelhouse, and connecting with divine timing and your astrology, which is more like my zone of passion. And so the way astrology works into it is that you can use it for character creation. I actually have Harry Potter's birth chart, which shows you everything that's going to happen in his life. And it really gives you a well-rounded thing. If you don't want to think on your own of like, what would this person's emotional wound be? Find the Chiron in their chart that you come up with for them. It actually helped me decide when my story should take place because I knew what energetic influences I wanted happening on the world. So I was able to find when they happened in the sky. So I can implement that kind of chart to see what's going on. Or for marketing, for writing, you use retrogrades for editing, keeping an eye on Mercury for all of the writing phases and plotting and things like that. And then for releasing, You can actually do electional astrology, which I've used the entire process for starting and releasing the Forgotten Storytellers program. We use electional astrology to make sure that the energy is right and perfect with the timing to do all these things we're doing, so that we are creating something aligned with God and with the universe to be the best that we can be for all the people who need it.
Mm-hmm. And that's how we customize publishing plans for too. So in the Forgotten Storytellers, we have everyone, we first of all nail down their story idea. We work on their astrology chart to discover their divine timing, discover what themes they're working through in their life, and therefore will be working through when writing the book, because writing the book is equally as healing as reading it is. And then we tune into we teach them how to energetically remove and pull limiting beliefs, energy blocks, those sort of things. So that stops both writer's block, but also helps heal all of the old stuff that you're still processing through in like 30 seconds or less each time you pull. It's really fantastic. And then they teach you how to tune into your own muses and your guides. And that's like my energy side of it, not the astrology stuff. But then combining that, then you actually write during the program your first draft of your book. And then we create an aligned publishing plan with you that's aligned with your astrological divine timing and what your guides say is the best place to reach your readers.
That's incredible. Can you, when is that going to be available for the general public to be able to purchase or subscribe to?
So pitches actually opened. You actually pitch us your sloppy pitch. It's kind of like pitching an agent, but so much less pressure, because we energetically know if we're going to align with you, right? So we just know by your energy, by your passion, that's in the words that you're writing in your pitch, if we are meant to be able to help you, if we can serve you. That's the idea. So
your pitch is just your story idea. Like give us 3 paragraphs of what you want to write about. Like that's it. Like, that's a pitch. Like no outline of how, just tell us what you want to write.
Yep. Tell us what you want to write. We'll help with the rest if you need it, but we're going to help you understand it for yourself too. So that's like the cool thing. It's going to be fully yours and you're going to feel so proud of it. You're going to know it inside and out. And those pitches open January 1st, 2021. Okay. And then we're officially going to launch the program in the beginning of March on March 2nd, but we will be taking pitches and we have like a pre-program leading up to that. So we'll keep people busy. We'll give them things to do to make progress so that they feel good about it. And we also have the Forgotten Storytellers Summit coming up, which is going to be free to attend.
Yeah. So the Forgotten Storytellers Summit is highlighting authors and industry professionals that have this emphasis on healing through fiction and talking about how in all different parts of the industry, this is important now, whether it's from an author who's written that kind of fiction to someone who works with library systems specifically and how important it is for like libraries to publishing experts to editors, the whole 9 yards. And that's free for anyone who wants to attend. And that will be on January 22nd.
22nd. Now, is this going to be an online seminar or okay, I figured. So where would they get that information if they want to join? Like, do you have like a website or something that they could go to or?
Yeah. Are you going to link it below? Like, are you
I'll link it below. I just wanted to know where they'd be able to find the info. So yeah, I'll definitely link it below. Okay. Well, that sounds incredible. I can't wait. Like, do you guys have an idea for a pricing plan, or is it kind of like we'll see when we look at the pitch, or?
Yeah, when we know that we can help you, then we'll talk about prices, and energetic exchanges is really the idea.
And we have, if we accept your pitch, what we do is we schedule a call either with KristaLyn and you or me and you, and we go through your energy stuff either on the astrology level or on the psychic level of talking to your spirit guides to see if it's really aligned. And then we go from there to think about 3D money, scheduling, that sort of thing.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I was just wondering how exactly to go about it. I'm actually interested myself, so I might be hitting you guys up later. We'll see.
That would be great.
Love to have you join.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to your pitch.
I'm excited. I've already got like Rum World already like set up and everything, but you never know, like I have other books that I have planned. So all right. And let's see here. You and KristaLyn are both intuitives. Your platform incorporates writing channeled fiction designed to heal unconscious trauma. You kind of already told me a little bit about how this works, but did you guys want to go more in detail about this, or do you think you've said everything you have said on the matter?
I mean, we could talk for hours on this. I think.
How long
to go, we could go. Yeah, no, we talk a lot. The The goal of it is to really help you start to understand the way energies work in the world, if we're talking on a very core level. And by illustrating this through story, you're actually releasing, like through writing a story that helps you heal these things, then your energy of the way you've healed through this is going to translate to the reader and heal them on an energetic level as well. Not to mention the program also helps you learn actual energy healing techniques to help yourself. And those can translate into your writing as well, and helps you activate different parts of your energy, activate different abilities that you have, because everyone has psychic abilities. It is not unique. Everybody has them. They're just their own brand. Everyone has their own brand of psychic abilities. So it's just a matter of like awakening those as well, and incorporating that into a writing space. And whatever idea you have, by the end of really fleshing it out energetically, it's going to be so much more expansive than you could possibly imagine.
And what we do is in the program, we help you realize that you are the hero of your story. And you do that by writing your story. But by the end of it, the book that you've produced becomes the mentor for the hero of another story. So you get to really have this full circle from going from hero to also being a teacher for someone else. And it's this huge journey just to write the book, but then also to share it with other people, which is the part that authors have a rough time with, because it's so personal. But we show you how your personal thing is actually a connection to the soul of someone else as well. It's just as important to the person who's reading it, and it is valuable. So we're going to help validate that. And that's one of the belief work things that we do, is help you realize that you are worthy, you are valid, everything you're going through is meaningful. And so then you will be able to confidently share it with passion.
And then you get to go through the hero's journey, which is really what it is at its core. And you're actually doing that as a writer, which is really powerful.
Yeah, being a writer is really just, it's you actually being able to take control of something, an entire world, people, everything. And you're kind of able to live vicariously through those characters, which is one of the reasons why I really love writing myself. This year, I've realized how writing heals me as I write my characters. And it also taught me this year to be more truthful in my writing. And I love that you guys are using spirituality in your books to create your books, because that is the ultimate truth, is looking within at your own traumas and your own issues and spilling that out on the page, and then helping your characters work through them, your characters and working through your own issues. And I absolutely love that. And I feel like spinning as much truth into a novel as possible is what makes such a great story, in my opinion. And that's
Absolutely.
actually a great segue into the next question. What makes an unforgettable story in your opinion?
In my personal opinion, it's the energetic impact the story's had on you. So an unforgettable story, and I predominantly read in the like sci-fi, fantasy, but other fiction realms as well. But that's like my place where I read the most in. And for me, it's, hey, how much did this impact me on a personal level in my actual life? Like, how much did the energetic impact of this story stay with me versus other stories where, you know, I'm like, oh, that was fun. And I can look back on it and be like, I read that. That was nice. But now, as opposed to the ones where I'm like, cool, I need to now look up all of the fan art for this entire story because it morphed me as a person. I feel this energetically. And now I'm going to go stare at fan art people have made because hopefully they felt the same energetic experience that I did. So in my opinion, that's what makes an unforgettable story, is how much of the energetic impact and change did it make in my life?
Yeah. And to build on that, the characters and what they're going through, and the fact that you can feel them. You can feel that they understand you and that you understand them. And again, like for me, they were my friends, right? So the fan fiction, I actually have this in the book too. The fan fiction really reveals the vibration of the story. If there's a lot of fan fiction, you know that story was high vibe because it connected with someone enough that they took it out of the page, made it their own, and extended the world into their worldview. To Emily's point, it changed their world because they can't stop thinking about it, but they choose to be thinking about it. It's there as a companion for them. So that energetic impact, like Emily is talking about, it makes you happy to be immersed in that energy in the world with the characters. And it really creates that whole imagination, fun vibe, which is so important to follow, because one of the things that I like to talk about that I think Emily also talks about is following your fun is how you know you're in alignment. So you help people find alignment by giving them characters who help them follow their fun. So those characters end up being their spirit guides in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's just absolutely incredible to me, though. That it's like kind of like taking a piece of your soul and infusing it into the words and making it, giving it life that way, you know, like, because like you said, you can, well, Emily, like you said, you could read a book and one book and it'll make you just go like meh, but you could read another one and you become obsessed over it. And the difference between that is one is just words and the other one is a living thing. And that's just my opinion on it. I love the differences between the two. You could tell which one had passion. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I completely know what you mean.
All right. So you guys are both best-selling authors. So tell us all your secrets, especially the writing community here on BookTube. We all want to know.
I'm trying to find my book to show you.
I am.
Yeah. So this is my best-selling book. It's called Damsel No More. And this is the allegorical nonfiction one that I talked about. So it's both fiction and nonfiction. The biggest secret in regards to that is, again, energetic impact and then having a really concrete and aligned strategy, which is both the things we focus on in the Forgotten Storytellers, because we're kind of in this space in our human evolution where we can combine this energy stuff with tangible 3D things. And that's kind of where we came at it. So both KristaLyn and I we both are bestsellers on Amazon. It was Amazon campaign. And then these were traditionally published with that, with really concrete strategy to get ourselves there. And that's what we do for our authors as well, is work on what's their best way of getting to the path where they can make the most impact with their work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just about placement, knowing where your people are. And then when you get in that place, it's like when you want to find more things that are associated with your favorite TV show, you go to the conference where the people are selling the things that have your favorite TV show merchandise, right? So we just need to find what conference or what genre or what keywords or whatever your book people are already searching for, because they're looking for that genre. They're looking for it already. The algorithms are doing their thing. And if we can work with the algorithms and say, hey, you show people this kind of stuff, those are my people, so I'm going to put my stuff here so that you have a space for that, I'm going to step in. And that's how we really calculate the best way to set up a campaign for authors to become bestsellers, because they deserve it.
And using the languaging that supports what your mission is with your book and supports what it heals and that sort of thing. It takes just something that sounds like, oh, that's a cool story, and takes it to a whole other level of like, wow, like that really heals and does this. So it takes it deeper.
Yeah. And it's talking to me. Like when you look at something and you know it's for you, that energy is programmed into it. It's already determined that you're going to do that somewhere in the energy. And we're just making sure that we're being as open and inviting with your energy as possible on that more metaphysical end.
And it comes down to everything from cover design to the layout, like the energy of every component of it, and then figuring out where that fits.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot that actually goes into it. And I'm sure that's something that you guys you said that your program also covers the book launch and things like that as well. So I'm sure that if viewers were to come to you and ask you about these certain things, and that you would be able to help them find a way to make sure that their book cover is correct and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, we're actually going to have community support as part of the program. So not only do you get to write your book with us as your mentors, editors, whatever, but you're also going to have the support of all the other people who are doing it too. Your people, your own little writers guild. And so they will have opinions. They will have connections. They will have their perspectives to add to it. And you will have that tribe that you'll be able to fit into.
And it's also, I mean, with emphasis on that too, like there's more to getting your book into the right reader's hands than there is to being a bestseller. Like, yes, you want to be a bestseller. That's amazing. It's really important. But your book needs to hit the readers that you're supposed to connect with more than anything else. Like that's what you're supposed to be doing with it. That's what's going to make you feel the best. That's what's going to give you the true energetic return of it. So it's not just about like, let's run you a bestseller campaign to make sure you get a bestseller and all that sort of stuff. That's an element of it, of course. But if you're more aligned with reaching readers in, you know, more of a self-publishing or more of a traditional publishing or whatever it is aspect, that's where you really want to focus your energy, because that's where you're going to get the most out of the experience.
Okay. Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. And it comes back to me what I've always said is that you always find your tribe. So every person has their own tribe. And I know that you guys have talked a little bit. You said that as well. So I'm kind of like echoing you, but I say that a lot as well, especially in real estate, because I'm really, really weird and kind of unprofessional. I'm not exactly like my sister who owns the office, and she's always wearing her business wear and all that good stuff. And her hair is always done. She's got her nails. I don't have the COVID. Oh, I just choked on my own spit.
That was so great.
Should I get the same?
So seamless. You were just like, I don't have it.
But God, all right. But like, even though I'm crazy and maybe a little unprofessional, and I'm a little hyper and everything out there, I still have done really well in my first year of real estate as compared to other people who have in their first year of real estate. I've exceeded the average. So just like I will find my own tribe and I will still be successful being exactly who I am, someone's book is going to be able to do the same thing. They shouldn't be trying to appeal to a wide audience and sell 10,000 copies their first week to hit that New York Times bestseller list. Your guys' job whenever they come to you to become part of this program is for you guys to help them find readers that vibe with their books. That way it's ending up with the people who will most appreciate them and enjoy them and get the most out of them. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
we want to help make an impact. And the title of bestseller, that's a nice blue ribbon. It's a nice to have, but making the impact, you can't trade that for anything. And so we're going to do our best to deliver both, and we have plans to be able to do all of it. So we're excited to be able to work with people.
Okay.
It's about
all right.
It's about just being your authentic self, promoting your authentic work in a way that aligns with you, your guides say so, your astrology says so, and your readers will feel.
Yeah.
All right. So why is now the time to focus on healing stories?
Oh, can I talk astrology?
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
Okay, so now is the time, because I don't know if you guys have heard about this whole great conjunction that happened not too long ago between Saturn and Jupiter. Dude, that is energetically something that is huge. We are coming out of, and we've been seeing this happening in 2020. As an astrologer following 2020, there is no doubting it anymore. But what we've come out of is a period of Earth, which is more focused on structures, on big forms of rulership and money and all that stuff. Now we're coming into a 200-year cycle of community focused, society driven, intellectual and high vibe stuff. This is the time where we're literally in a period of 3 years right now of Aquarius, going into more Aquarius stuff over the next probably 10 or 15 years. But there will be an air focus, which Aquarius is, funny fact, over the next 200 years. We're building a whole new society based on humanitarianism, based on love, based on, making something that people can actually live in and thrive in. And you can tell, like, people like us, to be honest, we were born into a very dense and earthy kind of vibe, and it was uncomfortable. Now we're coming into what we were born for, the energy we were born to be natives of. And so all these people, these forgotten storytellers, they feel that they're looking for where they can go to take this message that is definitely activated now. And we're saying, hey, we're there, we're with you, we see you, come, we're going to do this together. So that's why now is the time, because we're really building a society that is mental health, emotional health focused. Because, like, let's have fiction that fixes you so we can build a community and a world together. We need that. And it's going to be so much more fun than you can imagine.
Right. And if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that the old stuff doesn't work. So let's do new stuff. Like, that is at the very core of it. And that goes down to every aspect of our world at this point. Is like the old stuff doesn't work, which is the same as the old stuff telling, very typical stories that do the same thing that are just, like, no, that doesn't work anymore. We need to tell more authentic, real, deeper stories. That was my dog. Not just like a weird phantom. I was like, oh, that looked kind of creepy. But No, it's really important. And that's also where the industry is going, because the industry professionals have realized the same thing that the individual writers have, that have realized the same thing that the readers have. It's like, hey, we can't keep doing the same things. Things have to change. They have to include diversity. These stories have to be healing. They have to change people's perception of the world. We have to illustrate a better way of living through these books and through these stories. And now is the time to do so, because we've all had a collective realization that old things don't work.
Yeah.
So let's
you can see the evidence of this in pitch fests on Twitter. There's always a tag for mental health. There's a tag for self, or things that are representative of
Own
someone's
voices.
personal experience. Yes, own voice. People are looking for own voice. Guess what? We all have our own voice, and now it's being sought after. So your experience is going to be different than someone else's, and fiction gives you the opportunity to put it into a world that someone is going to be able to get lost in, feel safe in, and pick up what you're throwing down without feeling defensive or triggering any preconceived notions that they may have. It's going to be able to expand their minds so that your own voice, your own experience can lend to the world. The world is so small now because all of our voices are being heard. So we want to make sure that you have the right way to go about sharing it.
Yep.
I absolutely love it was kind of cool. It was like blah 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 happy, and then it was all like, yep. I loved it. No, but I absolutely agree with you there. In my last interview, we were also talking about how, like, you know, the publishing industry, both traditionally and independently, have gotten a lot more diverse. And how traditionally they have like a cap on it right now or something, to where they have to have so many people of color. They have to publish so many people of color or something like that in their houses, individual houses. But they usually just stop at that number and don't try and like bring on any more authors. Like as soon as they hit that limit, they're like, okay, well, we can't accept any more this year or something. It's what my last interviewee said. But independent publishing is starting to gain traction with a lot of different diverse writers, and they're missing out. Traditional publishers are realizing this and they're missing out. So we're seeing the independent publishing influencing the traditional publishing now, and everybody's starting to come together. I'm seeing an improvement, and I'm really excited for this beginning, especially since I'm an Aquarius myself. Like that's my sun sign. So that's why I pointed at myself. I was like, it's my era. So I'm super excited for this new beginning, especially the next 3 years. I really feel like, and that I don't mean to bring in politics, but I really feel like that with Biden getting into office, that's really going to have a huge impact on our country. And I talked about politics in my last video. Everybody already knows that I'm crazy and I'm a total liberal, and that's okay. I'm not asking you guys to talk about your politics. I take the heat. But anyway, I agree with everything you both just said, and absolutely feel like now is the perfect time for healing stories. Now is the time that the world is going to be ready for those healing stories. I could not agree with you guys more.
It means a lot. Thank you for the validation.
Not a problem at all. I need a lot of validation myself, so I try to give it as much as possible. Your next one. Oh, this is the last one. I'm so sad. No, I want to ask you more questions, but it's 6 o'clock, so we got it right on the head. Do you have any fantasy book recommendations for viewers?
Oh, so many.
Oh, Emily.
Oh my God, I have so many. I am a huge reader, so I read a ton. And I'm very obviously in tune, so the whole time I'm really listening for the high vibe nature of it. The Furyborn trilogy, incredible. Read it. It's so good, so high vibe, so well written. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful work. So that's a big one. I highly recommend that. I'm a psychic professionally. Like I do readings for people. So the Raven Cycle speaks to a place in my soul because I feel so I'm always going to recommend that one.
Okay.
I love it. I know it's a big time one. That one's by Maggie Stiefvater. The Furyborn's by Claire Legrand, and it's so good. This one, but The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, amazing. It's about psychics, which makes me so happy. I also have children, and she's like the daughter of a psychic, so I like see my kids in it too.
So do you think that that is accurate, an accurate representation of psychics, or do you think that like, okay, right, just making sure.
That's part of the reason I love it so much, because psychics get such a bad rap in so many things, and they're like, oh, a crystal ball, and this one's not that at all. It's like, this is how it actually is to exist as a psychic person. And I love it. It makes me very happy.
That's how I feel about.
I want to know a window into my world.
I never see any fiction where witches are depicted accurately, and it pisses me off to no end. I hate it because it's like, because I consider myself a witch. But I do tarot readings and stuff like that. So obviously, like you said, we're all psychics. We all have.
Have you read Circe?
Huh?
Have you read Circe?
I have not.
So Circe, okay, read that one. That one is by Madeline Miller, and it's the story of Circe, who is like in the Odyssey, but she's considered the first witch in historical literature. And the way that she writes this story in a fantasy fiction representation is such a valid representation of every witch friend I've ever had.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. Circe, and it's by who?
Madeline Miller. Also, she also did The Song of Achilles, which is my all-time favorite book. So I also just love her for that. But,
it's Circe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I saw it, the word spelled in my head, but I probably should have asked. I didn't mean to interrupt your recommendations, by the way. I just heard you talking about psychics, and I just like jumped right in. So you said the Raven Cycle, the Furyborn. What else was it?
It's the Furyborn trilogy, which I think they have like a specific name for it, but the first book is Furyborn, and then the one I just recommended is Circe by Madeline Miller, and then The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Also very, very high vibration books, all of those. Very worth reading. Absolutely. Do you have some, KristaLyn? I could go for hours, so I'm gonna
I just didn't want to interrupt you, that's all. I know I interrupted you, so if you had more, I didn't want to step on your toes.
No,
but
you're good.
Should have a turn.
Oh, no worries. Like, Emily is my go-to. My whole TBR is curated by Emily Dexter. So, but I also would add to the list, I really like V.E. Schwab, even especially her middle grade stories. Middle grade stories are doing this thing where they are the YA that we want, rather than the YA that sometimes we have. So there's like her Tunnel of Bones series. It's about a girl who can see ghosts, and it's accurate enough for mediumship. So it's nice and fun, and it's just enjoyable to read. You want to turn the page. But she's a really good author who takes you into those darker areas, takes you into those grayer areas, shows you the humanity there, and then shows you motivations, reasons, three-dimensional characters, well-rounded worlds where villains are heroes and heroes have trauma and all this stuff going on. And she just reveals an ending that, again, may not always be sunshine and rainbows, but it's a forward movement. Mm-hmm. My next thing on my TBR is Addie LaRue, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this year. I can't wait to read it. I'm reading something by Jennifer Armentrout right now, so I want to get through that first. But there's just so much out there, and so many authors are doing this thing where they're like, you know what, I'm just going to write the fun stuff. And that's what we need to do. And if you're a writer who's ready to do that, but you're looking for extra guidance, that's what we want to help with.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't yawning at you. I'm just perpetually tired. Okay, I was going to say, like, I'm just 70. That's all. I'm sorry.
So, fun fact about yawning. Yawning is actually a huge energetic release. And anytime you have energy movement, specifically if I'm like doing energy work on someone, they'll usually start yawning like copiously. So oftentimes when you've had a big aha, you'll do a huge yawn because your energy is actually releasing.
I did not.
And we're in a full moon right now, so you're releasing a lot of energy unconsciously anyway.
I noticed that the moon was turning full when I stepped outside yesterday. I just hadn't looked up.
This is the best full moon in like the last 3 years. So if you're going to do anything full moony, this is the one to do it. My water is in my windowsill. So.
I need to put my water out because I haven't made full moon water in, I think, since Halloween was the last time I did it.
Well, yeah, the moon's been under attack a little bit this year. What planet hasn't been? But this one is a good one. So highly recommended.
I will put something out. Thank you for reminding me because I'm really bad about remembering stuff like that. Okay. Well, darn, I guess that we're done. I would love to do another interview with you guys again at some point, but for now,
yeah,
have to be done. So you guys want to say anything in closing about yourselves before we sign off and say goodbye to everyone?
Absolutely. I would love to plug the Perceptionist Anonymous podcast really quickly, since we're talking about the moon. The full Moonisode just came out. I contribute astrology to it twice a month for the Moonisodes, which they have, but it is a metaphysical comedy podcast, which is actually hosted by Emily and another friend of ours, KristaLyn A, so she can tell you more about it. But we also both do our things on Instagram at The Real KristaLyn for me and Liker of Words for her, and on TikTok, where Emily has absolutely blown up because she gives the best spirit guide information. So we would love to get in contact in those platforms as well. But yeah,
absolutely. And so thank you so much for that. Yes, Perceptionist Anonymous is on all podcast apps. It's a metaphysical comedy podcast that your spirit guides are telling you to listen to. So go check it out. And so that's KristaLyn, me and KristaLyn, and we do that. And it's just really, really fun. Yeah. And same thing. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. But also we do open for pitches on January 1st. The information to pitch us will be linked in the stuff below this. And then also we're hosting that free Storyteller Summit. We would love for you to claim your free ticket. So we'll give you the information to link that below as well. Because we would love to have you attend. It's going to be really exciting and fun.
Okay. And if you're interested in any of our actual books that we published, all of our books are available on Amazon. I realized none of the books we recommended were ours. I should probably mention that, like the Right Hero's Journey, which comes free with our program, but it's on Amazon. Emily's on Amazon, so you can look us up by our names and you'll find our whole library there.
Don't be silly. I'm going to link your guys' books down below. All of your books are going to be down below. Your guys' your Amazon author pages will be down below. You guys are incredible, and I'll probably even add to my TBR to go ahead and purchase a few of your books to read them, because I'm all about high vibe. I didn't even know what high vibe fiction was until you guys started talking. But now I want to read high vibe fiction. That's all I want to read.
Yeah. Yep.
We hope all of your viewers feel the same way. Read high vibe fiction. It heals your soul.
It's good for you. Yeah.
I think that we all kind of want high vibe fiction. We just never knew that's what it was called. We all love high vibe fiction. We just didn't know that there was a name for it.
Well, it's got one now, and we are so excited to help introduce people to it if they're interested.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that's all the time we have today. So subscribe for high vibes, and bye.
Thank you.
Wake up, travelers and dreamers. If you made it all the way here, you're awesome. Head on over to lrevans.site to subscribe to my newsletter for updates about my upcoming novel, Rum World. It's all about the gay love and British rage. Bye.